Hello, my Astro family. This is Lada from astrolada.com with your May 2020 horoscopes. Yay, I'm back, feeling a bit better. And I have invited this month evolutionary astrologer Bryan to help me to lead you through the spiritual and karmic meaning of this month. And I will cover the more practical, mundane day-to-day influence of the month. And Bryan is the most spectacular astrologer I've seen. The first week we introduced him, he had 500 individual orders, and they have carried on like that ever since. So he broke the record with us, and you'll see why. He's amazing. So I'm very excited to present you the May 2020 horoscopes. And by the way, on May 16th, Bryan is making his first webinar for astrolada.com for our audience, which is only $63 down from $90, on past life astrology, how to read the past lives in your horoscope. And I think it will be our most successful webinar to date as well, because the topic is fascinating. So let's begin. Virgo, Sun, Moon, Rising, May 2020. And hello, Bryan. Bryan will lead you through the evolutionary summary for the nodes for Virgo, which is ending up in May. Hi, Bryan.
Hi, Lada. Thank you. And hello, Virgos. I have a Virgo moon myself, so, I got a soft spot in my heart, literally, for Virgo energy.
You mean Virgo has a soft spot in the heart?
Well, yeah. Good point. Yeah. Let me write that down analytically. Yeah. Yeah. Well, we got a soft spot for being helpful, for being in service. That's a beautiful thing, which is we could tie that into the symbolism we're working with the nodes. And as many of you may have known, is the last year and a half, the nodes of the moon have been in the signs Capricorn and Cancer. And that's been a major theme of the last year and a half, even more than a year and a half, because we've had Pluto and Saturn transiting through Capricorn. We have Jupiter transiting through Capricorn currently. A lot of Cap energy. And for Virgo, it's been in your the fifth house of your chart. Now, you have the transiting nodes, which from the viewpoint of the style of astrology I practice, which is called evolutionary astrology, the transiting nodes are about collective karma. So we're trying to heal from, healing is a good Cancer word, North Node, trying to heal from the darker side manifestations of Capricorn, South Node, the old habits that we're trying to get away from as we access this opposite side of the polarity point towards Cancer, towards nurturing, towards softening, towards healing. So collectively, we've been doing that. Now, in our own personal birth charts, we have nodes too. And I think the South Node of the moon is about karma, past lives, been there, done that sort of stuff. The energy we've been getting a PhD in for lifetimes. It's time to move on towards the karmic medicine, the North Node. And as Lada said, I'll be doing a workshop next month on how to read your own past life or the past life of your loved ones. So please join me if you're interested in that. But the transiting nodes, again, collective karma, not personal karma. But of course, we all have our small part to play within the sea of humanity. So as we wrap up this Capricorn Cancer nodal axis, because it's about to change signs into Sagittarius and Gemini, which is completely different energy, and as far as I'm concerned, going to be a breath of fresh air. But here we are, trying to wring out as much evolutionary potential from these symbols as possible. And as I said, it's been going through your fifth house. So when looking at the South Node, we want to look at the symbols a little bit cockeyed, a little bit negatively, just to see how we can transcend the darker manifestations of Capricorn fifth house into the higher manifestations of the opposite side of the chart, the 11th house. And words that go well with Capricorn is duties and responsibilities. Yeah, kind of dragging the plow through the mud. And the fifth house, this is kind of strange because the fifth house is the fun house, the house of pleasure, the house of games, the house of children, the spirit of children, playing with children, the house of pets, the house of romance and courtship and sex and love affairs. I'm not trying to make pleasure a bad thing. although the old grouch, curmudgeon Capricorn may from time to time. And this could manifest in a variety of ways, as always with astrology, because symbols can't help but be impressionistic in general. So let's just riff a little bit here. Responsibilities, that Capricorn word, around children, perhaps, probably literally and figuratively. You know, we attract children of all ages into our lives commonly. Now, it could also be a fifth house of creativity. In Capricorn fashion, maybe grinding away the hours creating something, you know, some masterwork. Now, pleasure, games, romance, addiction, all that stuff, shadow side, fifth house. Now, understanding Capricorn a little bit more deeply. Capricorn, from time to time, negative side Capricorn, gets kind of out of touch with her feelings, likes to push the pain body aside. You know, it's like, I'm on top of it. Okay, shit happens. Now, a lot of stuff has been happening in our world, and Capricorn kind of says, suck it up. You know, Capricorn can be controlling from time to time. Capricorn can also slip into fear of losing control as well, pushing the pain body aside. Now, here it is in the house of pleasure, pushing the pain body aside and having some fun. It's kind of like, I'm going to go out with a bang, you know, can it manifest as like a fatalist energy too, you know? So through the fear of lack of control, potentially we want to check out of reality, you know, Netflix binging, playing video games. Yeah. Now, whether you're busy with the children, busy with your creative acts, you know, endlessly scrolling through Instagram, having pleasure in your life, I'm sure there's thousands of games of Monopoly being played right now across the world, you know. And what are we not facing? Well, what those all have in common is utterly living in the moment, you know. I'm trying really hard not to be negative Capricorn in the fifth house here and be the poo-poo parade in the party, you know, not trying to make pleasure a bad thing, okay? But what if we're living too much in the moment of distraction into the moments of the uncomfortable reality we're all facing right now? Not wanting to feel, more comfortable with distraction. Yeah. Getting lost in creativity is much more constructive, you know, because we can create something beautiful, but it can still become a distraction. Now, the secret of healing, of softening, which is about Cancer, North Node, self-nurturing, is less about being in the moment and more about thinking ahead, okay, planning ahead. Now, the 11th house is classically known as the house of friends. And fair enough, yeah. It's about not close friendships, more about networking and social groups and stuff like this. So part of your healing is connecting with other people, maybe through social media, since a lot of us are in the house right now. And that's a component of it. I'll say some more about it, but it's not my, where I like to start with the 11th house. Where I like to start is it's the house of hopes and dreams and aspirations, strategic thinking, planning ahead, not living in the moment of now, but in the moment of months or years from now. And of course, Virgo likes to plan too. You know, Virgo, the perfectionist. Now that can be a little bit exhausting, wanting to be this perfect person. It can lead to worry and concern and self-doubt and being too hard on ourselves. I am for myself, you know, with the Virgo moon, okay? But it's also helpful to Virgo to plan ahead, to have a game plan. The goal is to not make it too perfect though, too unrealistic that we could never meet it or reach it, okay? So it's good to be earthy and humble and grounded with it. But yet, Cancer North Node is saying, this is part of your healing now. The importance of planning, leaving getting lost in the moment and looking ahead. Now, there's some beautiful spiritual teachings out there that say only live in the now. You know, the power of now, be here now, the Eckhart Tolles of the world. Beautiful teachings. I'm not trying to make them be a bad thing, but if we're, again, we always want a balance point. Too much in the moment, things start to fall apart a little bit. So the North Node is saying the secret of healing for you in this life is more structure. Okay. So create your dream, your near perfect dream, and write it out in good Virgo fashion, very analytical and structured. You can even make a plan for that, hour by hour by hour. But you create the dream, okay, that'll have a healing effect on you because there's so much uncertainty now. Okay. So if you can cling to a dream, it'll kind of give you something to hold on to. Okay. Be good for your heart. And then beyond that, connect with a community, a network of people that are like the South Node sign to help you manifest that dream. Connecting with a community of healers, or maybe people who have the same healing intent to heal the globe, connecting with more Cancerian people, which are very concerned with the welfare of themselves, but also of the welfare of other people. Those sweet, tender, sensitive people have something to share for you and your journey. And the more you focus on the creation of your future, even if it's only a month out, and plan ahead, and then connect with the community to help that dream go beyond crystallization to make it start concretizing in your life, something softens in you. You feel more relaxed, a little less anxious, like Virgo sometimes can. And the more you do that, the more you're doing your own part in your own life to put your personal growth and evolution into hyperdrive as you try to reach this point of the chart, which is not easy to reach, the North Node. It feels farthest from us, hard to attain, always out at arm's length. Okay, so it's not easy work. So it takes a lot of hard work and focus. But the more you do that, the more you grow, and the more you grow, the happier you are, and the more you heal. And that is the more karmic perspective on this, as we all do our own little small parts here. And then we're going to transition now. I'd love to pass the mic over to Lada to get her take on the retrograde planets.
Thank you so much, Bryan. I learned so much. I've never looked at the 5th and 11th house in this light. I'm going to steal your interpretation for future. It was fascinating.
Charge you royalties.
Like 5th house playing around versus planning for the future. The 11th house to fulfill a bigger dream. That's wow. All right. So Virgo, I'm going to walk you through the retrograde planets. We're having 3 retrograde planets going retrograde at the same time. And that's rare. When this happens, it can feel like your life is turning around. But actually it might be because we currently are going through in the past few months through something that we never lived through before. And when planets move forward, like they've been moving forward, we usually are met with new experiences. But because there were so many crazy conjunctions, start of new cycles over the last 2-3 months, Saturn, Pluto, Jupiter, Pluto, so Saturn, Mars. So we were hit with so many new things, and we haven't had a chance to integrate, to realize what's happening. And now 3 planets, Venus, Jupiter, and Saturn will start moving backwards. And this will be the time when we're going to start trying to return to our normal life, starting to go back to how things were before. But they will not be exactly the same as they were before, because even when planets are making a move in the sky, they don't just go forward and then backwards exactly over the same area they pass. They make a loop. And they go back, but they look at the experiences. So we're going to start looking back at what's been happening through different light. We're going to start questioning. We're going to try to integrate what's happened and examine. And these 3 planets rule 6 areas of your horoscope out of 12. So half of the things in your life you'll start re-examining in. They'll need extra work. They'll need going back to. They'll need fixing, correcting mistakes we've made. But that's energy. I think it's maybe Virgos will cope one of the best way with those energies, because Virgos are okay. They like to correct and fix. They like to see what's not going well so they can change it. I don't know. I think somehow Virgos can cope with retrograde energy better. And the first planet that goes retrograde, let's start with Venus. It goes retrograde in May, and usually the period when it goes retrograde is when everything, when some situation arises that requires you to go back, that requires you to fix something from the past. Sometimes it might be a little bit of a crisis situation, and it's happening in your 10th house. So you might start revising, going back to work. 10th house is your career, you know, going back to the responsibilities, worldly responsibilities and duties you had before that, resuming some of them, going back to a job you left. You know, that's the most obvious way we can interpret that. That can happen for many people. For others, it might be starting to re-examine, am I in the right profession? Am I in the right career? Or what is not working well enough in my career to make me feel satisfied and happy? Venus wants to make us feel joyful, relaxed, happy, that things are going fair. So when Venus starts going retrograde in your 10th house, you might start questioning yourself, is my career situation fair? Is my boss fair? You know, there might be certain, and sometimes in more extreme cases, over the next 40 days while Venus is retrograde, some of you might decide to actually let go of a certain career direction, a certain aspect of their career. Some of them might have to deal with an issue connected to institutions or bosses or authorities. And because it's Venus, it's not going to be some angry issue or some really one that can be handled easily. It's something that requires more diplomacy between you and institutions, or between you and your father or some authority figure or a boss, that requires you to try and find this charm and ability to collaborate and cooperate, if you and revise that relationships. You might go and communicate with your father and fix something that's been on your heart heavy, that has been making your relationship out of balance. And by the end of this period, you might have a better relationship with such authority, father figures, bosses. On another level, I've seen that when Venus goes retrograde in people's 10th house, they might be, especially if they're in careers that have more Venusian, working with women, in relationships, in entertainment, in art, in music, in design, that they're really starting some very demanding project. They've started it already, but the project, when Venus goes retrograde, goes very demanding. Like the workload increases 3 times, like they need to, or it slows down, they find some mistake, they have to fix it in that project. So they have to put extra efforts to make it even more beautiful, more harmonious. And it's not even for Venusian careers, for any kind of careers. Venus is retrograde in your 10th house. You just might want to create more harmonious, more better project, more better structure, more harmonious structure, because 10th house is structure and rules. So you revise some of the rules, or some project you're working on requires you more, as I said, more effort. And by the time Venus turns direct, if you did it all right, if you fix things, if you're able to renegotiate in regards to this career matters, then you have a much better final product and much better recognition as well, and much better relationship with an authority or father figure. Some of you might even get a promotion by the end of this thing, because the ultimate goal of Venus is to bring you something good, and to bring, it's the lesser benefic, it still brings opportunities and support and help. But while it's retrograde, it requires us to do this, the harder work of it, and then it gives us the reward at the end. And Venus retrograde in the 10th house it rules your 2nd house, which is finances and resources. So you might need to do those extra efforts in regards to a career duty or career situation, because you would like to increase money, and the eventual result might be that it increases your financial stability as well. And what is also the 10th house? It can indicate that if you've been having interviews for a job or something and they fell through, or you haven't heard for a bit, when Venus goes retrograde, you can hear from them, and you can pick up that job opportunity again, this career opportunity, or some project that you dropped before in regards to your work. You can pick it up again and delve deeper into it and develop it. Okay, that's enough. So something will be happening in your career, rethinking it, and so on. Then Saturn is going retrograde in your 10th house, another house, sorry, in your 6th house, for the first time in 30 years. And it's going to repeat that twice over the next 2 years again. So again, a lot of focus on very similar 6th and 10th house are connected. The sixth house is your duties, responsibilities, and work, your service that you do. Employees, if you have employees, people that work for you, if you work for someone, you're the employees, the work environment as well. So you see a lot of focus days, like, and I think Virgos are quite in their own waters in such situations, to be honest. They know how to, and the sixth house is the house of Virgo, and Saturn going there it will make you even more Virgoish when I think about it.
Virgo on steroids.
You become even more anal about the details, and you perfect that even further, your skills, abilities. You perfect your work ethics. And Saturn retrograde in the sixth house asks you to be very moral, otherwise it's like it can slap you with a ruler in regards to your work ethics. It will make you perfect your efficiency at work and examine, am I wasting too much time answering all those emails? So structuring my work in a way that, okay, I'm working one-on-one, but actually there's so much work, and Saturn tends to give more and more responsibilities when it's in the sixth house, and especially when it goes retrograde, it can feel a bit, sometimes even overwhelming. And this asks you to see, okay, how can I make my work more efficient? How can I be more productive without having to, basically burn the midnight oil? But there will be a big focus for you Virgos on work for 2 years ahead, whether you want it or no. But I think that you can get so much done then, and you can become so much more efficient. If you thought you were organized, oh my God, after this period, you'll be something of a like an organization master, and you can even I don't know, it's I think you take it to another level after this period. And also Saturn retrograde in the sixth house makes you to ask yourself about trying to fix your debt. In Vedic astrology, sixth house is your debt, just like financial debt of any sort, or it might be debt towards someone else that you have, and you start paying it off when Saturn goes retrograde. And actually by the end of Saturn leaving a sixth house, which is for you in about 2 years from now, I've seen quite a few sometimes people that are able to really decrease their debt, because Saturn wants to decrease, to work through it, and to manage to pay off some debt and get very serious about solving that debt. Again, as I said, the increase of responsibilities is definitely there. Having to work on some more complicated issue at work. Sometimes it's having to delve into not exploring so much, but fixing the strategy of work. I'm repeating myself too much here, sorry. And then it's sixth house is health. In the worst case scenario, Saturn retrograde in the sixth house starts showing you the problems that are coming from not living healthy enough life. Are you overworking too much? Are you not standing good posture? Are you eating foods that you're allergic to? Are you living in an environment that's that is contaminated? Whatever it is, but that is due to our lifestyle. The sixth house is not like some kind of karmic diseases. It's not something that is inherited diseases from family. It's due to lifestyle. And if you start having some chronic issues from the past coming up, or some health issues appearing, flaring up, the way to fix over the next month or two, the way to fix them, and you have 2.5 years to do that, is by changing your lifestyle and starting to try different small changes here and there until you figure it out by the time Saturn leaves that sixth house. And I've seen amazing how by the time Saturn leaves the sixth house, people have changed their health in an amazing way like never before. Like people who've been drinking for 30 years stop drinking, people who've never worked out make it part of their life, and they work out for life after that. And it's going to give you this amazing perseverance to incorporate habits in your health that you stick in with for the long time. But because it's just the beginning of this process, it can start as some kind of dissatisfaction, awareness that something's not right, that you're not doing it right, maybe that the body hurts, maybe that you start feeling hard on yourself or more critical. You have to do it, but maybe you don't, it might take maybe a couple of years. Don't beat yourself to cram it all now, but this is the start of such processes. And then you're going to have Jupiter retrograde in the 5th house. Bryan talked a lot about that 5th house. And I think now you're going to learn the spiritual lesson of what's been happening over the last 2 years with all those difficult karmic planets there, Saturn, Pluto, South Node. Well, only Jupiter is going to be left for till the end of the year in your 5th house, Virgo. So over the next 3-4 months, while Jupiter is there retrograde, it deepens the philosophical insight. It makes you have like deep psychological or philosophical breakthroughs and understanding, finding the meaning of what the heck's been happening, especially in regards to your love life, which is the 5th house. And a lot of you have been revisiting all the relationships, in a sense, thinking about them with all those planets, Saturn, repeat, South Node, the past, issues and pains from love relationships have been coming up to the surface as well, or even kind of lack of that. But you or some heartbreak. Sometimes I've heard many Virgos who either were lacking love life or that they've been having such hard time through love, through expressing the love and the sexual relationships, and working through past such ones. And now only Jupiter is left there, and it goes retrograde, so you might be again re-examining those matters, but it gives you a philosophical view, and you're like, now I understand why, and you start the healing process, because Jupiter is a healing planet after all. And again, on a more material level, it can mean someone from the past coming to reconnecting with the past love, or reconnecting with the past 5th house's hobby that can spark up the joy of life in you, and picking up some hobby or something that you're naturally talented at and that gives you joy and pleasure, picking it up that you've left, that you haven't done. Jupiter retrograde is to start again something, to revisit it, but maybe to incorporate it in a bit more different way, now into your life. What else? It's also some creative project that from the past that comes back, some creative idea, or 5th house is even if you're making your own business and you're creating it from scratch because it's your baby, it's your own original ideas that you're putting. That Jupiter in the retrograde in the 5th house means that you can start up again doing that. You can pick up such creative or original idea and try to revive it, try to implement it into your life, to put more extra efforts into it, or to change it, to fix it, to improve it, to edit it in some way. But again, as I said, I think I mentioned everything. So I don't want to repeat myself too much and make this too long. Thank you so much, Bryan. And and hopefully, Bryan will come back in May to do the June video, so he can tell us about the new signs of the nodes that they're going to move. I think that will be fascinating. And do join Bryan on the 16th of May with his webinar, 4 hours on past life astrology, how to read the past lives in your horoscope based on the nodes. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.